knows this song? Sing along if you know it. Let's go. Come on, louder than that. What did they get wrong? I'd like to take you through my journey through the lens of 4 hats. And this is my first hat, my little cub hat, which, this is the original one, by the way. You can see the moth-eaten holes in it, represented the perfection of my youth. Did anybody else have a perfect youth? Loving family, academic excellence. It was just a time of love, affection and success. Life could not get any better than the time I had growing up. Did anyone have one of these upbringings? I mean, many of you did, I'm sure. And how cute could this be? I mean, just amazing. My legs haven't got any thicker than that, but that's okay. It's why I'm wearing long pants. That's the way it is. Accolades, celebrations. Wow, what a life I lived. It didn't come without a dose of sadness. And I think this is fair. When you are addicted to this idea of the opinions of others, which comes from accolades, and this idea of a fear of failure, this need for perfectionism, it has consequences. And this is what I'd like to explore around this concept called ego. The second hat in my life was my military officer hat, as I became a man, literally became a man. And I arrived at the Australian Defence Force Academy and was told I am the cream of Australia's youth. And if that doesn't build a sense of entitlement, I'm not sure what does. I left the military, all the wars started. I don't know, I don't want to make too much of a link there, but I did join corporate. I went to KPMG. What a honeymoon period. The Paris end of Collins Street in Melbourne, new mobile phone, suit, life doesn't get any better. Going into organisations, ripping them apart, sensational. The ego trap. I don't know, can you relate to this? Do you sit on either side of this, over-caring about self or others, under-caring about self or others, with emotional consequences, sadness, fear, anger, contempt, arrogance? But here comes my 4th hat. And in January 2002, I was diagnosed with a grade 3 brain tumour and given 2.5 years to live. Not here to say I'm unique, but I'm sure you would understand the amazing turmoil that this created for myself, for my wife, for my young kids, as we were facing into the biggest challenge of our family's life. Where do I go? What do I do about this? And certainly a very lost soul on a spiritual journey trying to make sense of what is this about? How do I heal? How do I grow spiritually to get to a better place? How do you even start to go down this path to make progress? It certainly wasn't coming from a lot of the inputs I was receiving to this point. And I know as you start to look at some of the enablers, and my hair did grow back, by the way, you look at some of the enablers for this progress, number one was this absolute state of humour and perspective. And I actually selected my neurosurgeon on the basis of his sense of humour. I rejected a few others on that basis. There's no question, such an important enabler. But choices, number 2. Did I ruminate? Of course I did. Bitched and moaned about this predicament I found myself in. But how quickly was I able to make choice around making peace with the situation? Pretty happy with how that moved to the place of taking positive action. Didn't spend too much time on that right-hand side. And the third enabler, that'll be 3, was actually connection. This is my wife. Unbelievable the support that was wrapped around me as a project to grow through this enormous challenge. No question, it is one way to emerge from the ego trap. And so if we bring it back to this concept and say, this is ultimately a shift from under-caring and over-caring and ultimately to this place of caring, which we've talked about so much around the concept of compassion. I like to call this humility matched with a dose of assertiveness, which we heard beautifully in the panel this afternoon, did we not? Ego still plays, does it not? Sympathy, ignorance, contempt, indifference. But when we push it into this place of empathy and tough love, compassion, now we are emerging, where we deeply care about others where we deeply care about self. Very much how I see it. A definition: eagerless, courageous, values-based thoughts and actions for the greater good. Do we like this word egoless? I think it really does. It certainly strikes a chord for me, and I think it definitely for that family, without question. Who would you nominate for a badge of honour in this criteria? You might recognise some of these people. This is Dr. Charlie Teo. Some of you will know of Dr. Teo. Of course, Abraham Lincoln, and my favourite. He didn't start as someone with assertive humility, but boy did he shift into this space as he reflected. Self-worth, no question. Trust and compassion, building blocks. Am I looking inwards or looking outwards? No question. Perspective, do I blow things out of proportion, or do I keep things calm and with respect to the level of the challenge? And how do I lean into conflict in a nice way or in a nasty way? And Descartes does make another appearance. My wife thought this was pretty funny, right? Because up until my cancer, I was my brain. That was pretty well what I was. And this emergence out of this ego trap was about saying, I am not my brain. It is only one aspect of who I am. This is our latest addition to the family, and we're on a journey with him, no question about that. And I reckon I'm still on this journey to emerge from the ego trap, and I invite you to join me on that journey. Here's your homework: write an essay. Assertive humility is the answer to authentic happiness. Please explain. 3,000 words. My email is there. I'd appreciate you to send that through. Cue the music. Sing along. Here's a. Here's a.
You go to this supermarket and shouting, I want to buy peace of mind. Then people laughing, or people feel that person's mind is something wrong.
Now, this word connections is a really interesting one, because our kids today are more connected than ever.
Of course, then when you're in an institution, people call you up. They tell you to perk up. Yeah, perk up, because I didn't think of that.
I should have a happiness project, I decided. As soon as I have some free time, I'm going to do that.